Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for TWiT specials is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
Happy New Year, everybody! The 24 hours of 2015 continue. Let's check real quickly to see. You don't have to write it because we can always just look at the website. And John, if you put up the website, which is unicefusa.org/twit, let's refresh the page and see how much money we have raised. $6,995. Thanks to all of those names, Chris and Manu and Andrew and JJ and Chad and Mark and all of you who have contributed. We really appreciate it. We're aiming at a goal of $20,000, but here we are, only 1/6 of the way in, and we're already at $7,000. I have a feeling we're going to get even higher. I hope we will. Make sure you check out the auctions too, twit.tv/eBay. There's some great stuff there. And again, if you'd like to donate, unicefusa.org/twit. Now, why are we giving to UNICEF? Because it's a great cause. It's a 4-star charity. We wanted a global charity that benefited kids, and there's probably no better known or better charity than the United Nations Children's Fund. It's helping kids all over the world, saving lives with inexpensive technology that can make a huge difference. Things like mosquito netting, educational supplies, and of course they're doing a great job helping kids who are threatened by violence. And we really want to support them, and we hope you will help us with that. unicefusa.org/twit. It's all for a very good cause. Go ahead. You're going to bring me a battery? No. Take the mic? I don't need that mic anymore. All right. I do need a clipboard so we can see what's next. Thank you, Carly. Welcome to hour number 4. All right. Our first item, Jake Jarvis and Jeff Jarvis are here. Hey, Jake. Hey, Jeff. Great to see you. Welcome. We're going to move over to the round table, and we are now going to see if we can help. Newsroom. I'm leaving the round table and heading to the newsroom. So important that we get these names correct. Randal Schwartz, thank you for helping us here. You look good in a fez, by the way, a fez and a necktie. Where should I sit? Should I sit in the middle? Because Josh is going to come over here. Come here, Josh Windish.
So you can slip out.
Sit on the end so I can slip out.
Or is this too weird?
No, you sit here. Because we are then going to do our little round table in a little bit because we have some. So as soon as they turn on this microphone, there we go.
Is this one on too? Check. Is this on?
I think so. I think that's okay. So let me introduce one of our great editors and producers, Josh Windish. He helps us greatly on the Tech Guy Show.
Yes.
You produce all of the web content for the Tech Guy Show with the help of James Aruvo. He writes down at first, but then Josh fixes it. And it's kind of a tradition. I end the show, I head straight to the men's room, and on the way to the men's room, Josh stops me and says, what should the tip of the week and the pick of the week be?
That's right.
And I say, don't bother me, kid. I'm going to the bathroom. Okay. Then I come back out and say, now. You do. You're very kind not to. You do not follow me in.
I'm persistent.
But one of the things about we first met Josh actually many years ago.
Yeah.
You were working in radio in Holland. And
Yes.
I was so great. It was so great to talk to somebody who, a little Dutch boy,
Yeah.
who was in radio and was a big fan. And your English was so good.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised when I find out Holland is actually in Michigan.
There is a little town named Holland, Michigan. They tried very hard to be the real Holland, and it's not anywhere close.
I swear to God, I thought you were in the Netherlands.
They have a tulip festival and everything there.
I did not, and I was so surprised. We first met, I think, when I came out to Dearborn. We did an event. We did Maker Faire and then visit the Ford factory, and you came out and say hi and gave me a resume.
We found the footage. We have it somewhere. I have. I probably have it on my phone too, because I took a
video of the line
to shake hands with people. I have the video on my phone, and I think we found it here at TWiT too.
Do we? We don't have that, do we?
No, we don't have it here.
That would be
Let's
great.
cut to the footage. No.
Oh, I wish we did.
No.
One of the things, though,
somewhere.
So you gave me a resume at the time. We didn't hire you because we didn't have a place for you. But as soon as we started doing the Tech Guy website, we took that over. I said, Josh, it'd be great. And you and at the time, your girlfriend Vanessa came out. And your birds?
We didn't have the birds.
You
then.
didn't have the
This is
birds?
long before they were born.
The
Hatched.
birds were not yet hatched.
Right.
Vanessa now is your lovely wife.
Yes.
And by the way, wonderful woman.
Oh, thank you.
You are
Yeah,
a lucky,
she's
lucky
fantastic.
man. Yeah. But one of the things Vanessa tells us, and the birds tell us this too.
Right.
Sometimes you're a little indecisive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like well, give me an example. Is there something you've had a hard time deciding lately?
Lately?
Yeah.
The biggest decision of my life.
Of your life, not to marry
Perhaps.
Vanessa.
Well, that was
an easy.
That was easy.
That was a no-brainer.
Right. No, this was a doozy. This was a very serious thing.
Yeah.
And this was the decision between the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus.
Ah, it was a size thing.
Yes.
And what did you buy first?
Okay, so I started with.
Did you do research before you bought?
Well, yeah, of course. And when I first heard about the 5.5-inch iPhone, I thought, I'm getting that. Like, I'm getting the iPhone.
You liked the idea.
I thought that was such a cool idea. And I said it as a joke at first. I was like, I'll get the 5.5-inch one because that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
And then I decided on it, and I decided the white 6 Plus was the way I was going to go, right?
Can you hear that, whatever that is? It sounds like they're building something over there. Is there? I'm a little nervous about what may be happening next. We'll carry on. Okay. Does it involve South Korea?
Or a dunk tank, maybe? No.
North Korea. Okay. East Korea. We actually are going to go. Our next ball drop will be in Korea in about 45 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you did research. Did you actually make a cardboard cutout?
So I saw the cardboard cutouts. Burke made them.
We had some here.
Right. And I thought, this is, at first I was thinking, okay, that felt a little bit big.
Yeah.
But I thought the 6 felt nicer in my hand, but I still was attached to this idea of the bigger screen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So tried the cardboard cutout. I still thought,
Did you carry it around for a day or two?
No, because everyone wanted it.
Yeah. It was very popular.
The iBurke that Burke made was very popular.
Yeah.
So, so I had that. And then when it came time, I was actually in London when the the phones came out. So I said Jeff Needles, because he was going to get it for me.
We should mention one thing.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is okay to mention, but your wife Vanessa does work in an Apple store.
An Apple retail store, yes.
Okay. So you have access to this stuff. Not advanced access.
No, I didn't.
But she could get something for you.
Well, we were both in London, though.
Oh.
On our honeymoon.
Oh.
And the whole time on our honeymoon, by the way, I'm never going to live this down.
You weren't worried about
the 6 and the 6
You weren't
Plus
worried
the
about
whole
love
time.
making. You weren't worried about fun dinners, the Tower of London. You were worried about the iPhone.
The whole time walking around the Tower of London, I'm going.
Does Vanessa ever go?
It's too big, though.
Make up your mind.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Plenty of times. She's pretty fed up with me at this point. So I said to Jeff Needles, all right, give me the white 6 Plus, because he was going to wait.
We were all in line. There were 6 of us in line that first day, and I guess we did have one of your order. I remember we had a sheet of all the orders.
Yep.
And you wanted a white 6 Plus.
The white, the silver white, because I had got the white iPad Air and I thought it was great.
Beautiful.
And I thought ever since iOS 7, I was thinking white is pure and nice and great and clean.
So is that what he got for you?
So no, because they didn't have any T-Mobile models.
They were out.
They were out. So then the next day, after we get back in town, because we got back in, I think, Friday, and then the release was Friday. So Saturday, I go online, and by some crazy chance, I wound up getting online in-store purchase for pickup. I got the 6 Plus in space gray. And so, well, no, but it was the 6 Plus, and I grabbed it. I got it. I went and picked it up that day. I was really excited about it, and then hours after I got it, I started hearing from people online, and you the next day, I think, on the tech show.
I said, don't buy the big one.
And you're saying, don't
it's
buy
like
the big one.
Clown
This
shoes.
is clown shoes.
Get the 6.
And so then I'm thinking, oh man, I made a mistake. This is horrible.
You should never listen to me.
Horrible mistake.
Your first mistake, listening to the tech guy.
I thought I made a terrible mistake.
Okay.
So suddenly, this phone that I was perfectly happy with when I first picked it up, by the way, perfectly happy with it.
Yeah.
This phone suddenly was like, no, it's too big. It's too big now. It's too big.
Wait a minute. You were using it and you were happy.
Yeah, and I thought.
And then
this
you
is
heard
the way
somebody
to go.
say it's too big.
I got the biggest phone ever.
And it undermined your confidence.
It wasn't just someone, Leo.
It was me.
You and a whole bunch of other tech reporters that also said this. This was it seemed unanimous at the time that the 6 Plus was too big.
So what'd you do?
So I took it back. No, I didn't take it back. No, where am I thinking? I'm getting ahead of myself.
What did you do?
I sold it to Chad because Chad wanted the phone. So that's right. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so Jeff Needles is now correcting him. You bought the 6.
Oh man.
And then at one point you had both.
Yes. So I bought the 6. Okay, so I bought the 6. See, I'm all upset already. Okay.
It's okay. You're among friends.
So I got the 6. So I got the 6. I had the regular 6 and the 6 Plus.
Jeff, your head is in the shot.
I had them for about a week. Had both of them for about a week. And I was going back and forth between them, and I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
And eventually, I had to sell one because Chad was waiting on me, and I had to do something.
And he wanted his phone.
And he wanted his phone, so I sold him
would
the
he
6
have bought the little one if you had decided on the 6 Plus?
That's what he says, but I feel like he wouldn't be happy with it. He was an Android person and had bigger screens.
He wanted a big screen.
I think he did. Okay. So for Chad, I sold him the big one.
Okay.
And then after I sold him the big one, I used the 6 for a while.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, this is, I don't know, I'm not happy now. Like, I missed the big screen. So I took the 6 back, and now I got the 6 Plus.
So you're now with the 6 Plus. And Rene Ritchie, I saw him shaking his head. He thinks you did the right thing. He said the 6 Plus.
Rene, you got the 6
Come on
Plus
over,
too,
Rene
right?
Ritchie.
No, I'm very interested in what people see. Now, Jeffrey Needles thinks the 6 is much better, though.
Yeah. So Jeffrey Needles, you think the 6. By the way, I gave away my 6 Plus. I have the 6.
What? Right, you have the 6.
But Rene Ritchie, would you make the case? We got to get a shot that includes Rene. Thank you. Rene Ritchie, would you make the case for why a bigger iPhone is a better iPhone?
So basically, all of your phones now are pocket computers. They're windows into the internet and into apps. And if you can get a big window,
yeah.
So there's 2 things. One is the iPhone 6 is a great phone, but some people want more than a phone. They want a tiny tablet. They want to replace an iPad Mini. And this phone is great because it's an iPhone, it's an iPad.
Now, I do have an iPad Air. Does that, do you think that plays into this at all?
So I have both a Mini and an Air. I don't use my Mini anymore, but I use my Air more now because it stays home, it stays at my desk. I don't have to carry it around.
Right.
So it becomes a big thing to read comic books and watch TV on.
You know, if you keep going back and forth, you're going to have an iPhone 6C, and everything will be a better, it'll be easy.
6S.
6S.
What if I go jogging, though? Like, isn't this going to be...
So
I've never jogged in my life.
Do you jog?
But what if I might start?
Okay.
I don't know.
You don't look like a runner.
The thing that's sold...
So compare... So you're saying, Rene, that this iPad Air is replaced by the giant phone.
The iPad Mini is replaced by the giant phone.
The iPad Mini.
You don't have a Mini, though.
No, I don't have a Mini.
Yeah.
My wife has a Mini.
So if you had a Mini, you could have gotten rid of that now.
Right.
But if you have an Air, you should keep it.
I'm saving money, right?
I was when I got home from the Apple event, what totally changed my mind is my mom said I was watching it. I said, "You're finally watching it?" She said, "No, I'm watching it for the 3rd time. I'm going to get that big phone. It's going to stay in my purse. I'm getting the watch so that I don't miss any phone calls anymore."
That's another thing. The watch. The watch is coming. I'm totally going to get the watch.
And that'll be the little screen.
And Mike Elgin said this too, by the way. I'm not crazy. He said that if I keep this in my pocket or in a bag or something, right?
The watch will do all the work.
On my hand, and I can go walking around with my watch on.
And you can hand off. And if you
Wait a minute, the watch is not going to have a microphone, or is it? It will.
It's got Sirius.
Can you make phone calls on the watch?
You can.
Okay. So the watch will do everything your phone could do except smaller.
Yeah, as long as your phone is there.
The bigger screen,
but you need your phone.
Lug out the phone. And
so you feel better now?
I think so. But my wife, though.
We got a special surprise for you. Steve Jobs is here, and we're going to have him explain to you why big phones are a terrible idea. You had to file your fingers down or something?
Well, ironically, in 2007, that was the biggest phone they could make. That was the biggest phone technology allowed. They tried to go really, really big. And
they wanted to.
Yeah, 3.5.
So that's interesting. Really, the tablet, I always thought this, and when they announced it in 2010, this was something that Apple really always wanted to do, was something like this. But the phone was the closest they could get with the technology.
Yeah, it was the best product they could make.
Right.
And I personally still think the 6 is the right way to go. Does that change your mind in any way? I'm trying to drive you insane.
I'm going to have this whole decision again when the next iPhone comes out. Oh, you weren't kidding. Steve, I'm sorry, Steve. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't look at this.
You are all wrong.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
the
really
watch is the solution. The watch is the solution. I agree.
Right, but now when the next iPhone comes out, though, the S, like you said, I'm gonna have the whole decision all over again.
We talked about this on Tuesday on Mac Break Weekly, and the reason that I'm still not crazy. Careful. It's gonna be okay.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, we got you. We should do a little trust exercise. Maybe you can stand on the table, and we'll gather around, and you just fall off backwards. You want to try that?
And if we catch you, you stay with the 6 Plus.
All right, let's try that. Get him up on the table.
What?
All right.
Okay, so.
All right, you just get up on the table.
Or I could drop my phone.
Come on, I want the biggest, strongest guys. Jeff, you're strong. Get in here.
You want me to stand up on the table?
Get up on the table.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
All right. Okay. No, I got it.
Oh, forget it. All right, come on, you can help. All right, don't look back. Don't look back.
All right.
Wait a minute, we need Chris. Get in here.
We need more people.
Zach, we need more people. Come on.
We're catching him.
Glenn, stop posting this on Twitter and get in here. All right, you think we have enough people to catch him? Yeah. He's just a little guy.
Okay.
Come on, Jason. Jason.
Just cut it.
Across the chest. Close your eyes.
Okay. Rob.
What you guys
Okay.
do is
on.
Okay.
Put your
Now.
arms across here.
Now.
Link your arms.
Oh, you've all done this before.
I've never done this.
Now. Okay, is there anything you'd like to tell him before he dies?
I'm proud of you, son.
Just imagine you purchased an iPhone 6 Plus.
Okay.
All your friends said it was okay.
Yeah.
And just let go
Okay.
and fall back.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
No.
Don't look.
Glad sports.
You guys ready?
Yeah,
We're ready.
Ready? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Fall
Go. Wait. Do a countdown. Do a countdown. It's the true New Year's special.
5,
4, 3, 2, 1. Bonsai!
Oh, okay, we got it.
He survives the fall. Got the land.
All right. And I got
You feel better now? You
Yes.
trust everybody?
Yes.
Josh Windisch, everybody, from Holland, Michigan. Woo! Oh my God. All right, I'm missing a microphone, but I'll take this one. All right, here we go. Let's bring it on a round
Sure,
table.
the 6
Renee.
Plus is okay though, right?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's not. It's a terrible idea. Rene Ritchie, Steve Gibson, and Randal Schwartz. Come on in. We're waiting for it to blow.
Any second now.
There she blows.
This is the one I couldn't open. This one. Usually they come out pretty easy, but what we found is that if you just left on their own under the studio lights, eventually
They'll melt.
they blow, and we will just say "Yoo" when it blows. So everybody who's at home watching, just keep an eye on that, would you? And if
And
you're in
just
the
be
chat
aware
room,
of what's above. It looks pretty good.
I think it looks good.
You're
up there.
okay. Yeah.
All right. We are trying not to hit the lights. So wow, a round table. Look at this. This is kind of worlds collide. We've got Linux.
Worlds collide.
We've got Windows.
Windows.
We've got Macintosh.
Yep.
We got
And then-
everything.
And then and my job is
everything
to
else.
convince you that you're all nuts. You should be OS.
Nokia since 1812.
Nokia. You know, it's funny. I was riding. Where was I? I was riding the light rail in San Jose, which normally is deserted, but they built a beautiful light rail system. But we were going to the Niners game, so it was jammed. And sitting behind us were some Norwegians who live in the Arctic Circle.
Wow.
And they were talking about the fact that they all everybody they knew used iPhones now. But before it was Nokia.
Yeah.
He said, Nokia not so much, but we still use the tires.
I have Nokia tires on
They're
my
the
car.
best
Yep.
snow tires. So they still have a business. They sold the mobile stuff, but they were a tire company long before
Yep.
they were a phone company.
I asked what's the best winter tire, and they slapped those on my car.
And same thing in the Arctic Circle. So what is the plan, Karsten? Were you here to talk?
We're getting
And
rid
they
of
take
you.
over.
We talk about you.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
because you
just
need a
gonna-
rest, Leo. You need a rest.
You know, I was complaining because they didn't build any bio brakes into this, so I guess they did. Would this be a good time for me to put on my tuxedo?
Yes, please put your
Finally.
And then you could change your tie.
So is the topic of the hour, which operating system is best?
You know,
What?
you mentioned the BOS.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've noticed is think of all the effort that went into creating that. Think of all of the technologies that we have seen that have passed, like the Palm.
Amiga.
The Amiga. I mean, and there were people, there were teams, all this human endeavor and effort to create something.
Hey,
There's
BOS
no-
is still being
You're
developed.
gonna make me cry about.
Well, there's an
BlackBerry
open
again,
source
Steve.
version of it, but Jean-Louis Gasset, who was a former Apple vice president, he was in charge of international sales at Apple, created B and BOS and decided to write a modern multimedia operating system. Remember
Yes.
how well it played back audio. But it was this close because Apple needed a new OS, and they had two choices. They talked to Jean-Louis and BOS, right?
Yep.
And they talked to Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
Steve
with
Jobs.
Next.
And I think in hindsight, that was a very,
Where's the
very
Chrome
good
OS?
Chrome OS. Have
Where's
a
Chrome
seat.
OS?
Chrome OS.
Wait, in hindsight, what?
Jeff Jarvis, ladies.
Good cloud, Jeff.
They made the right choice.
Yes.
Yeah. Jeff Jarvis represents the fourth little-known
The fourth
Chrome
estate.
OS.
The fourth
Struggling Mountain View.
Future.
Struggling Mountain View company.
The OS of the people.
I want to know when Boston Dynamics is going to run Chrome OS. Those robots need a web server.
I love my Chrome OS, but in a year and a half, I've lived entirely in the cloud, and it works, damn it.
I tried running just Safari on a MacBook Air and just Safari on an iPad. In 2 minutes, I was running back to Photoshop.
You know, yesterday I was preparing my notes for the Security Now podcast using just Google Drive and Docs, and from the hotel. And if you don't have a really solid connection,
Hotel connection is horrible.
It is bad. It is scary to have like your dock like wait a minute. It's like saving, reconnecting. It's like, oh come on, I need this. I need this now.
It's like losing power. Like we're so dependent on the internet now, not just for connectivity, but for community. And suddenly you're cut off from it. You start to go into like a little tiny black box.
Well, just you're on the airplane once in a while. It's all right.
And so finally I came here, and suddenly
too.
everything worked again. Yes. And I thought, oh my God, thank God. You know, I have connectivity. But that is the issue with the cloud is your stuff is now not
well, but it's also
here.
Local. It's also local. I mean, on a Chrome OS, you also store it all locally.
Okay.
So it's not to push Chrome OS too much, but
that's why you're here. Push.
So it's seamless. It'll go on and off, and I won't notice it.
It's like almost like a nearline system, right? Where it caches enough locally that you can use it, and then it goes back and forth to the cloud on demand.
Constantly, you know. And I wrote a piece a while ago on Medium that it used to be you lived by the Control S, constantly, right? And now I don't do it anymore. And that's when I used to think. It was my moment to pause and think. But now it's not just Chrome. It's when I write on Medium. It saves constantly.
Well,
WordPress.
And remember that what we
Drupal not so much.
Remember what we went through with our OSs crashing all the time. I mean, you know, somebody who didn't understand computers would never save.
Linux never crashed.
You've never seen a blue screen.
No,
OS 10 doesn't crash.
Before Linux, we're talking, you know.
There was nothing before Linux.
Guru mediation error.
CPM
Remember the
used to
Guru
crash.
mediation error on Amiga?
Well, and remember that somebody who wasn't really up to speed with computers, like, you know, I don't mean to pick on administrative assistants, who we used to call secretaries, but back when they were called secretaries, they'd be typing all day, and then their computer would freeze. And they'd lose everything because they had never done a save at any point. And those of us who understood were like, as you said, living on Control S or whatever it was, or Alt F5 or something.
Even worse,
word perfect.
So even worse is turning the computer off at the end of the day.
Without
saving. People do that. Just power off.
The thing that's got me terribly excited now is we're not like the cloud is wonderful for syncing data, but I love technologies like Handoff where they're syncing activity now. So I can be using something on a device, go to another device. I don't have to look for a program, look for the file, look for the place in the file. It's just a little button. You press it, and you're exactly back in the program, in the file, in the place that you're on.
Phenomenal.
That's like the next generation of sync for me.
And it's the idea Stephen was talking before about identity. Once your identity is synced around, then your activity can be synced around, and it's miraculous. The other day, I lost one paragraph on Medium, and I was like the old days. One paragraph. And I lost an hour because I was around tweeting and all that kind of stuff. You know, now we're spoiled.
It's ridiculous, and we look at in just the last year how far we've come in terms of like Chrome OS. Eventually, with Google's material design, I'm not going to know which device I'm on anymore. It's the same interface everywhere. It's not going to be important to me that I have this particular phone or that particular tablet. It's my environment. It's always going to be familiar. I'm always going to know how to do it, and all my stuff is just going to be there.
Yeah,
we're like just abstracting away hardware now.
Well, it's the point where you know, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think at some point this becomes your computer. Not that you use it as a device, but it will just sync up with whatever you're around, and that's your identity in your computer. And the device is just a peripheral.
It's like a window into what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you grab somebody else's tablet, and it recognizes who's holding it, and your world appears there.
That's the dream, absolutely. Like, or you're coming to TWiT. Let's say you've never been here before. All the beacon technology tells you where the closest parking space is. You pull in there. It directs you to the office. You come, you sit down. There's a monitor display, a window. You put your phone or watch down. It recognizes you. Your stuff syncs down, and you're back in your environment.
You know, and I guess all of this is about cost. Because, for example, there's technology that we're hearing about where there are sensors in all the parking spaces in a city, and so the parking spaces themselves now know whether there's a car on top of them or not.
Right.
And that's all networked in a mesh, and they've got a little, like, high-resilience solar cell that keeps it charged, and all of this, though, only works if it costs pennies.
Yes.
You can't do it if it costs, you know, hundreds of dollars per node as it once did. Now it's just
commodity technology.
Yeah.
A lot of airports already have that. Portland Airport, my home airport, it's all wired up, so you can tell exactly what floor to park on.
Wow.
It even has green and red lights above every parking spot. And then it has green numbers and
So
red
you can
numbers.
like see one.
So you can see one down there.
Yeah.
It's really, really
And
cool.
it should get to the point where it bills you. When you pull out, it turns off and bills you.
No,
and
they'll
that's-
double
that's
bill you
still
anyway.
manual. That's still manual.
I was joking about Boston Dynamics before because Boston Dynamics is the robot company. If people are aware, the Google bot, and I'm like, we watched Terminator, we've watched The Matrix, we know how this ends. But it turns out we're not getting murderous intelligent machines. We're getting stuff that's just smart. It's contextually aware, but all it does is feed us information.
Oh, okay. So I'm here with my smartest tech friends, and we see people like Elon Musk worrying about AI. Do you worry about AI?
Yes.
You do.
Well, he famously
I
said
do
that
too.
we are the biological bootloader for an artificial intelligence that will then go colonize the universe.
That's a beautiful analogy.
At some point,
and,
at some point they're gonna
I
decide
do
we're not
think
relevant.
it's a problem.
But they would be better suited to that task anyway. I mean, arguably, our lifespan
You
is
welcome
too
the new
short.
masters.
Well, I mean, the dinosaurs weren't there going, oh, we're going to suddenly feed the petroleum for a bunch of car drivers.
The problem is technology scales too well. I mean, when it's built right. I mean, we have old technology that does not scale. That we're approaching a technology where you just add more to it. Everything's connected, and it can get big very fast. And I mean, there's a lot it's competing with. This is 10 to the 11 neurons. I've been studying neural stuff for the last 6 months, so I have the numbers.
Wait till you see the next spin rate.
But 10 to the 11. Think about that number. That's an insane a level of complexity, which is why it can do so much.
And it's not parallel with individual program counters. I think we have to get out of the idea of single-steppable programs just scaled up. We need to get to organic programming. We need to get to
Which you
holographic
can only do when you have
programming.
sufficient complexity.
Right.
So
Yeah.
here's my question: is the fear controlled by nefarious agents? Is the fear a lack
It'll
of
have its
control?
own agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The analogy that was nice was that an artificial intelligence might crack the world in half just to get access to thermal power. And think about us the way we think about overturning an anthill in our garden.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know, it's not
in
that
the
it
way.
hates us. Yeah.
Annoying. What are those buzzes I'm hearing?
Exactly. Like it would just go about its agenda, not concern us at all.
Right.
I think there's a fair amount of technological hubris to this, to think that we're going to invent the machines that can take over the world and everything else.
But we only have to be wrong once. Like we have to be right all the time that it's not going to happen.
No, I mean, we're curious monkeys, and we're going to build it to see what it does. And it may look at us and go,
It's that or clone the dinosaurs.
Glad I'm
right?
here.
We'll go one way or the other.
By the way, just to interrupt, we're about 30 seconds from the next time zone. They're not going to celebrate it.
Ah,
but
okay.
It's, what is it? It's Western Australia is coming up. Nope, I'm sorry. Northern Territory in Australia. So, hello, guys, and Merry Christmas or Happy New Year.
When do we
whatever
hit
it is.
Jarvis Island?
Okay, yeah. Anyway, so we
you're
do
the
have a time
potentate.
zone.
You should tell us.
Yeah, there's no big thing over there. We're taking over for that instead. So, yeah. Okay, sorry for interrupting. Go back.
but I think we're at a point where sort of there's a convergence of our curiosity. I mean, if nothing else, Boston Dynamics demonstrates that we can. I mean, have you seen those things? They're scary looking.
They are zombie. They are zombie dog insects. Like there's no other life pattern on this world that moves like they do.
Yeah,
If I saw
they're
that coming
like
at me, I would run.
They're
just
Yeah,
run.
but you see, but that's the problem of the creepy line, right? I always argue with privacy arguments. Creepy is the worst word there is. There's no
Yes.
definition for creepy. It's a human just
Well,
gut
it's the
reaction.
uncanny valley, right? Like when
It's
you
the
see
uncanny
animation
valley.
that's not quite right.
So logically, there's no problem with how it moves. There's nothing. There's
No.
nothing. There's no worse mode of locomotion.
No, it's just
than another.
instinctually we're not used to seeing that pattern except in zombie movies.
Right.
but it does demonstrate that something that is not that is not ambulating the way we're used to seeing
not of a natural
biological
world, yeah.
creatures, it's able to do it too. And I think we're seeing a convergence now where, as I was talking about cost dropping, cost of complexity is just collapsing because our manufacturing technologies are jumping forward. And we want to see what happens if we put all this stuff together. I mean, if, Skynet wasn't on purpose.
Well, there's another aspect to this too, which once we get all this AI in place, evil people can take it over too.
Yeah.
So that's as bad a problem. I mean, evil people can take over humans right now, but it takes a lot longer to do that. So,
Well, but that's why you have Steve
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
right.
The human firewall, right?
There we go.
As long as we're near Steve, it's okay.
Yeah, that's right. He has a zone around him, a safe zone.
So one of the other things that was really interesting to me is how all these different, like for example, I'm a Mac user, so I have a Unix underpinning, I have Apple hardware, and I'm running Google services.
Right.
And that gives me an incredible range of experiences. I don't feel like
Which really means you've chosen well.
Well, no, I just think that this year everyone is doing their A game, and it's hard. It's not only hard to make wrong choices, but you can make combined choices, and I think that wasn't always true.
That's true.
I can even Microsoft is putting stuff everywhere now too. I can have the best of breed, not just vertically but horizontally now as well. Even I can throw Amazon in there, Facebook. It was an amazing 2014. Steve's nodding because he runs Apple hardware and Google services too.
And a deck.
And PDP-8s. Yes, exactly.
If you had to toggle switches right now, would you still remember how to toggle switches?
Actually, we had in our neighborhood, the power was out for an hour or two, and I noticed that the PDP-8s had stopped, and so I went over and toggled them and got them going again. So I guess the answer is yes.
He fed them the punch cards; they went in very quickly.
The tape didn't work out so well, yeah.
And it was funny too because I mean, it just felt good. I like flipped them, and I don't know. There's something about a switches and lights panel on a computer, which is, we haven't had that for so long.
Yeah.
But it's satisfying on some primal level.
Yeah.
Because Star Trek had switches, right?
It's science fiction.
I put together an MSI 8080, and it was so fun.
Yes.
The red and blue switches, the thing you see in war games.
Yeah.
That thing over sitting in the corner, I put together one of those from
And
scratch.
someone just tweeted me the other day,
Whopper.
do you still use Octal very often? And I said, as a matter of fact, I did just yesterday.
Well,
You use it in Unix all the time. Change mode.
You
Change
still
mode.
write your
Yep.
website in assembler, right?
Everything I do is an assembler still.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you hear these C guys talking about low-level coding and just start
Yeah.
laughing.
Yeah, C is low level. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, it is we were talking about this yesterday. In the age
Yeah.
of scripting languages, C is considered low-level, to the metal hardware programming.
And I brought up that JavaScript is
Yeah.
sort of the new assembler because everything's being compiled to JavaScript now, which is
we
really
have
bizarre.
fourth level LLVM now for JavaScript just to make it faster, because sometimes you're doing it so often that it makes sense to compile it first.
For a kid born today, what are languages going to look like when they start programming?
I think Go and Swift and the playground, because we were talking about this
And Dart,
yesterday, like
and Dart.
Logo. Yeah, I had Logo as a kid. What
Yeah.
do kids have today in elementary school that they can really use? And I think the playground languages and some
Scratch.
stuff, and
Things like that, yeah.
and they'll meet younger programmers again.
The idea that there is this accessibility too. In my experience, the best employees I ever hired were hobbyists. They were people who didn't get it in an hour a day, sort of force-fed to them and trying to cover as much curriculum as possible.
tinkerers.
They spent their lives, exactly when they went home, they played with this stuff.
Yeah.
And imagine what today's kids have access to. I mean, unfortunately, they get sucked into the dark side of gaming too
Yeah.
often, but which is just passive. It's not active.
Well,
but
I think the key
you could
word
do
is-
so much.
I'm worried that we're raising a generation of people, though, that play the games and don't realize that they could program them,
Alex
too.
showed
Right.
that yesterday.
Right.
Alex showed that app yesterday that, and an hour of code. We saw this too. They
Oh,
were using
so
stuff
cool.
like Plants vs Zombies and games that kids are aware of to teach them what a loop is, to teach them what they have to construct. And it's very easy to drag and drop that in place, and they get the positive reinforcement of watching the character
Well,
move.
you
we're
used
gonna
the key word, I think, which is tinker. I mean,
Yeah.
my son Jake is here, who's now a developer. And when he started learning programming, at what age did you start learning? Like third
2?
grade? Oh, way earlier.
You were talking about Lightbot.
Yes.
So I just wanted to get that.
Lightbot.
So I thought they were teaching him wrong because it was some guy, high school senior, and I thought you have to draw these charts with triangles and plan the whole world out, right?
Yes.
And no, he started tearing things apart, just like toasters.
Well, we're going to talk about that
That's what
actually
you
in
learn.
my hour coming up at 8:30.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the maker culture and how it's been impacted by open source software. So stay tuned at 8:30 because you'll see that.
Yeah.
But that's also really amazing now because you get an Arduino and you can program with all the devices and stuff and make it talk to real things. And you can program it in languages like processing, which are pretty simple to pick up. Similar to these other languages you're talking about, and they could see something right away. At OSCON last year, they actually had a whole one-day workshop where they brought kids in and they were programming Arduinos and things like that. And the kids were immediately able to make these little
Did
robots.
they know
and
anything
stuff.
before they walked in?
No. It was really amazing. Well, of course, they have the tasks are very narrow because it's whatever you can describe in 2 hours. But no, it's really amazing now. There's a whole organization section running around producing these workshops all over the world.
I took my godkids, they're 6 and 9. I took them to Apple stores at Hour of Code the same day as everybody else. It was a free workshop. You went in. There was 4 Apple employees it was 1 Apple employee for every 2 kids.
Wow.
And they sat there. They put them in front of the Hour of Code. You can do this online if you go to code.org. And they learn. And Bill Gates talked about loops. Mark Zuckerberg talked about coding. They were all on video. The kids loved it. And at the end, I said, "So what do you want to do? Do you want to make these kind of games when you grow up?" He said, "Yeah, all my life." You know, and it just sucked them right into coding. It was amazing. We need more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the hardware tie, Arduino and stuff is important too. Because
I think so.
Raspberry
Real
Pi.
world,
Raspberry Pi.
exactly. You're able to see it, and it's
Atoms and bits.
Yes.
I mean, I had the TTL breadboard, so I could make little lights toggle on and off. But that's so much different scale, than what we have now. So it's amazing.
Well, and that's one of the problems is the kids do see today's gaming, and it's overwhelming.
Yes.
I mean, because there was a day when an individual created a selling, you remember Bill Budge and pinball construction set and things. I mean, individuals could create something that was state of the art, and that's what people were using.
And now the credits.
Now it's a Hollywood production.
The
facility.
credits for GTA 5 go on longer than most Hollywood movies.
But there are still like indie games, like Flappy Birds may not be the best example, but one guy, Letterpress, Lord Brichter.
Yep.
Good point.
Tetris is not that old, and that was a person.
There are the indie games. I think is where we're seeing that sort of one person or a developer and a designer collaborating and making really amazing stuff. Threes this year too. Ridiculous Fishing.
Yep.
There was a lot of really good, and I think that's the accessible stuff. Make that kind of game first.
Yes.
You can go Hollywood on us.
I think not just making games, but being able to make creation apps and things like that. People making content of all sorts is another laboratory for this kind of learning.
There was an app released just a month ago called Workflow on iOS, and I looked at the picture of the developers, and I don't want to disparage them, but they look like they were 12. And this
they could be.
This basically brought Automator, it brought scripting to iOS, and you can have it just run tasks for you, and you can make those task actions, and it's one of the most impressive apps I've ever seen, and it's a 3-person team.
Well, and also things like Minecraft, where you can actually build things inside, especially now that they have the wiring and all that other fancy stuff, to be able to design things. Kids can get into that because it's like now I can build this and I can share it with people, and it's fun to play around in. These sandbox games are really amazing.
And, in all of this, the message is do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get out there. Don't be passive. Be active.
It's so
Start
true, Steve.
playing
It's
with
not
something.
theory.
I read Walter Isaacson's book recently about the history of Silicon Valley. And I lived in San Francisco back in those days, and I almost bought an Apple II, and I almost bought, I went to computer fairs, and I almost bought those boards.
I had
and
a
didn't.
2+ as a kid.
And I think about how different my life would have been if I'd only done some of those things at that point in life. But I stood back. I used word processing in newspapers starting in 1974, 73, right? And so that's what I was used to. I was already at the application layer, right? And to get people down to the fundamental building layer as soon as you can, that's where the fun is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sucks you in. I mean, because it's about surprise. As someone who's building something, you presume you know what's going to happen, and something different is going to happen, and you'll say, "What?"
Yeah, new theory.
And it's like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Okay, now I have a mystery, and I'm interested. Why did what I thought was going to happen not happen?" And now you're in.
All right, so you're
Explains your T-shirt.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
How do you teach yourself new things
Born to COD?
now that you're grown-ups?
I don't know about you guys, but I just dive in. Something new comes out, I open it up, and I want to see how it works.
People ask me how they learn a language, and my answer is simple: use it to solve a problem.
Yes.
You don't read a textbook that's boring and dry. I mean, you need to read enough to have some traction in the language.
Yeah.
But then put yourself a problem. Come up with something you want to do with it, because you'll start and then you'll immediately go, wait, how do I do this? Now you go to the book to find the answer to that little step, and you creep forward. But you actually have to accomplish something in that language.
I would also add to that, read as many lines of code as you can in that language that other people have read. Because then you start to get the rhythm of how things come together. And, it can do this as well. Oh, we can put these two things together. That's how I learn a new language.
Other person's
semicolon it wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Here's my educator's question there. Back to son Jake. He's got to tackle his language requirement in college soon. God help him, because he has my genes. Do you think colleges should require computer languages instead of human languages? Can you meet your language requirement in college by learning C++?
No, because it's too simple compared to a real language.
Oh, okay.
Because they're necessarily subsets because they only have one application, whereas human language has to cover every range of every possible expression. So,
and the more languages you learn, the more ways you can think.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
That is really true. I mean, we think in language, which is really...
But when you're learning languages, be sure to pick different kinds of languages too, like functional programming, object-oriented programming. You know, be sure you cover the basis for that, because otherwise, if you're always doing, algorithmic programming like C++, things like that, you're not stretching your brain enough. I've tried to pick up... what's it called? The big functional programming language, not Erlang. My brain's not working today, but Haskell. Every time I've tried to start Haskell, I get about halfway into it, and then they start mentioning monads, and I get lost. Because I think it's like that. I didn't go to school for programming, so I think there's something you learn in computer science that explains what monads actually are. So, so I've gotten halfway in and never.
All right, what's a monad?
See? Yeah, I don't know, and I keep getting stuck on that. Chat room, what's a monad?
Is it like a gonad somehow?
It probably is. That's probably it. It's one of them.
One of the other things I thought was fascinating this year, and we were talking to Steve about this earlier, was how security is becoming a feature. We have Apple, we have Google saying you're no longer going to be able to break into our phones, into our systems, and people
as a consequence of, we're now a year downstream from Edward Snowden, and that revelation at the beginning, 1 year ago, has really changed.
Well, people care about security now. They want secure messaging services. They look for that as a feature in what it's a job it has to do for them now.
Well, the threat is no longer theoretical. The threat is now known and proven and identified, and people want a reaction to it.
Celebrities know not to put pictures on iCloud now, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's got to be a really crazy
Sony,
space.
I think, will be even more important an event.
Yeah,
because it affected not spies, it affected some poor PA in a company.
Yeah, and the disclosure, well, that was interesting from a journalistic point of view, because we had people rightly refusing to post pictures of celebrities, but their emails, their information, that's fine.
There was a lot of debate about that in the world.
Yes.
A lot of debate.
Like, was that in the public interest?
Exactly.
Maybe the
Goliath,
share? Like the anti-Google Goliath program was, but I think like whether somebody likes Angelina Jolie or not is totally irrelevant in my daily life.
And it just screws up their career and their life going forward.
And it hides the important stories, because people get so caught up in that they forget about the security aspects or the SOPA, whatever end run they're trying to do. It's
What's the latest view from the experts? I'm looking at Steve on Korea, not Korea.
It looks so much like it. Okay, we don't know what the FBI says they're not sharing.
Right.
But absent something that they may know, it's still a toss-up. Attribution is so difficult, but the people who are really involved are leaning towards an insider job. That because it doesn't have to be. It could have been an insider malware that got in and had time to look around.
And the government might rightfully be saying we're not involved, but they could always have contracted it out.
Yeah,
they didn't do it, but they paid the money to do it.
Well, you were saying how hard it is to secure a company like Sony.
Oh, I couldn't
because people
really.
Oh yeah, because exactly because there's just no way you're going to prevent some random person from clicking a link that they shouldn't.
Social engineering.
I mean, it is phishing. With today's architecture, the one thing I've been talking to Leo about is this notion of rather than blacklisting bad software, you whitelist the good software. We did that with firewalls. The original firewalls blocked the things that were bad. And we learned, no, that's wrong. We need to block everything and then open holes where permit what is good. And the only way we're going to get secure computers is that same model, where it won't run anything that isn't signed cryptographically and has been specifically authorized by someone who's done some vetting somewhere, and very much like the iOS and
the app stores,
and app stores, exactly.
Curated security.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's not as easy. It's not as fun. You can't just run anything you want to, but you shouldn't be able to run anything you want to if you're also trying to have a security perimeter.
My favorite movie line from Equilibrium was, how do you get a gun away from a Grammaton cleric? You ask him for it. How do you get a password for somebody? You ask them for it. And that you just can't, IT departments can't secure that. They have a little note on their desk or the file on their computer that says password is my password. So are we going to be better in 2015 for security, Steve? Have we learned?
Yeah.
I really think we're seeing progress. I mean, it's always the case that people want more features, and features and security are at odds with each other.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're going to solve the problem next year. The problem's going to evolve where we're getting a lot more, and we're still in that gray area. We're going to be living in gray for a long time.
I'm more skeptical, though. I think that, with all the advent of smarter and smarter phones, and, my laptop needs to connect to my phone, which connects to my work computer, which everything, I think those are going to be hard to secure, and they're going to get worse rather than better. I mean, like the iCloud incident was definitely one.
Do you guys, I turn off lock screen stuff. Like nothing has access to my lock screen because I don't want anyone pulling up Control Center, putting my phone in airplane mode, opening up Siri, getting addresses. So I leave all that off, but it does cost me convenience.
Oh, it's so great.
I know it's great, but
is so
when I'm traveling, like Google, when I'm traveling, I turn that off because my phone might be sitting there at some point.
I know. I think about that, but that's the other thing. It's the temptation. The convenience just makes you say, "Oh no, okay, I'll take the risk."
You're sitting there. Your phone comes on.
God
it's a source.
knows you could do something now.
Well, no, it's a source, and it's giving you privileged information. And it's just sitting there on a notification on your lock screen,
right?
And you can't granularly control that.
But at some point, when it gets far enough away now from my watch.
Yes.
Okay, now, and here's another issue too. The question of, to what degree do people actually care about privacy? Because we hear about like the younger generation who have grown up in this share everything world.
Dana Boyd, who's done brilliant research from Microsoft Labs on young people and privacy, says that's a common misbelief. That young people actually control their privacy in ways subtler than we know.
Curate it.
Yes.
They leave Facebook because their parents are spying on them. They go to Twitter because it's more anonymous.
Exactly. The great story she tells us all the time, is there was a young woman whose mother was following her on Facebook, and she was okay with that. And she was having problems with her boyfriend. And she didn't want her mother to know because her mother would smother her in love. But she wanted all her friends to know. So she thought about it, and she put up the last song in Life of Brian.
Okay. I don't remember the name.
Last song on the Bright Side of Life.
Thank you. Look on the Bright Side of Life. So she put on the lyrics of Look on the Bright Side of Life. Her mother said, "Oh, I'm glad you're having a wonderful day." And all her friends said, "What's happened?" There's a coding that occurred there.
Right.
Yes. So the belief that you could, and that's why the Chinese, I think, just outlawed puns.
Yeah.
Because you can't deal with the secret human languages we create around us. That goes back to your language point. That we invent these things as we want.
They have a culture of secret languages. It's very interesting. Yeah, I like the way Apple's tackling it with the watch, and I hope this comes to phones, because if they detect that it's just sitting there away from you, it doesn't show anything. Then if you pick it up, it shows you what the app is and that you have notification. Then when you bring it up to you, it shows you what the notification is. Ooh. And I hope that filters down to phones, because I like the idea of progressive privacy. Like when it's away from me, it's private. When it's near me, it tells.
Part of the problem too is we have to get far better at alerts and real alerts.
Yes.
And the alerts that I get on my watch are oftentimes ridiculous. I mean, how many times a day do I need to know the temperature? The New York Times tells me we have 20 news stories. Well, yeah. Really getting to the idea of an alert is worth interrupting you.
And the closer you are, like if it's on your body, it should be much more important to get your attention than if it's on your phone or your computer.
But it's really like a little kid who just says, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy," all day long.
And when everything is important, nothing is important anymore. It gets drowned out.
And it trains you to ignore it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And I want that. Yeah. So they've got to know. You've got to be able to have much granular settings on these kinds of things for notifications, for alerts. And I like the way that, again, with the kind of handoff technology, this is too small to do a lot of things, but it knows what I'm doing now, and I can just send that to my computer or my tablet or my phone. Then I can just progressively get more functional as I need to. It's going to be a beautiful world, Steve.
But an insecure one.
I don't know if you can hear it out there in the world, but we're waiting for music to come on over there. So we're hearing the rehearsal. So if you hear silence, we're just listening to a little prep.
It's as far away as it can be.
And Leo looks great in his tuxedo.
Leo's looking like he's getting ready for something.
Thank you. Yeah. They outlawed puns in China?
Yes,
you can't outlaw puns.
I love puns.
It feels like we should be able to do a little riff on
Silver Dragon swims at midnight means something. Like, how do you control that?
Right.
There's a really detailed posting on that on Language Log, one of the blogs that I read regularly, that went into all the detail. The guy speaks Asian languages really well, so he really went into the details about what the puns were actually being and why they were in trouble.
I'm puzzled by the whole thing. I don't understand.
I think we solved all the problems in the
why
universe,
you would
right?
want
think
to
we
outlaw
have.
puns, except that they're bad humor.
Because they're being used to send messages, make statements that you can't.
Mischief managed.
No puns on
The algorithm can't
on
figure out who's
Weibo.
doing
No
bad.
puns on Twitter, because you might be making.
We're ready for you, Leo.
Yeah, you guys did a great job. Thank you. I appreciate that panel discussion. Jeff Jarvis, Rene Ritchie, Steve Gibson, Randal Schwartz. And by the way, we arranged them in order from the
oldest
geekest
OS.
to the journalist.
I thought it was an order of greatness.
And incidentally, Sam says, by the way, just so you know, for future reference, a monad is the Pythagoras definition of divinity because it's indivisible. Just next time you run into monads
Okay, great.
in
I'm glad
Haskell,
you
you'll
meet
know
one on a street now.
it's
that we're-
divinity. All right.
Okay.
Hey, we're getting ready. We only have a few more minutes, about 8.5 minutes until it's New Year in South Korea. We're going to go to Korean Standard Time and get Kevin Silverman on the line. And yes, I put on the tuxedo because we're going to class this joint up with some music right after the top of the hour. You can probably hear thank you for that, Vince. You want to do that again? I have acquired a number of things, including this show has given me tap shoes. We apparently now own our own fog machine, our own disco ball, and our own balloon drop.
You look marvelous.
So, and a thermometer. So, this has been a very valuable exercise. As soon as you get our caller, we'll put him up in the screen. I've moved over here because on the other side of the studio, awesome music stuff is about to happen. If you're just joining us, what's going on? It's our 24 hours of 2015. You may remember we did this last year. We did a 24-hour broadcast welcoming in the new year in all 27 time zones. We're doing it again this year, and I'm really pleased to say we've got callers via Skype in almost all of the 27, I think 21 of the 27 time zones. And we'll say Happy New Year. We've got a ball drop, a balloon drop, we've got fog, we've got champagne for each of those hours. And then in between, we're just going to do some fun stuff. We've got, of course, many of our hosts. We flew in Jeff Jarvis and his son, and Randal Schwartz came down from Portland, Rene from Montreal, Steve from Irvine, and many other hosts are here. Mike Elgin's just arrived. Most of our staff. It really is fun. We've even brought in extra people to help us out, like Vince, who's doing our camera today. And it's all to benefit UNICEF. That's the thing I'm most excited about. We'll talk a little bit. Actually, I could talk a little bit now as we get Kevin Silverman on the line. He's in Chennai, South Korea. I almost said North Korea. He is not in North Korea, unless he's telling us a fib. We not only can you go and donate cash, and that's the easiest thing to do, and that's what I've been doing at unicefusa.org/twit, but we have some great auctions going on. If you feel like I need a premium item for my money, if you go to twit.tv/eBay, we've got iFix. The iFixit folks donated some iFixit ProTech toolkits signed by Kyle and the gang. We've got IT Pro TV Premium 1-year memberships we're auctioning off. Thank you, IT Pro TV, one of our great sponsors. They also have a premium lifetime membership you can bid on. We have some signed bobbleheads. We have a chance for you to get me to record your outgoing voicemail message. You tell me what to say, I will record it. I think there are 10 of those. Premium memberships with lynda.com, another one of our great sponsors there. You see it at, that's actually at eBay, twit.tv/eBay. You've got the wrong lower third up there. If you want to go to the auctions, twit.tv/eBay. We also have these etched mugs, these Twit etched mugs, which are really unique, and the Twit fezzes, all of which we are auctioning off. 100% of the winning bids on these auctions go right to the U.S. Fund for UNICEF. Incidentally, because we're in the U.S., we need to do unicefusa.org/twit, but rest assured your donations go to their global efforts all around the world to help the lives of young people, of children in so many areas, with some simple things that can make such a huge difference, like mosquito nets and appropriate educational tools and so forth. By the way, I want to thank our friends at Fezorama and iFix at IT Pro TV and lynda.com for making that auction extra special. Twit.tv/eBay. Are you ready to go to Korea? We've got 5 minutes for the new year. Hey, Kevin!
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
Great to see you. Kevin's in the Navy, right? You're active duty in South Korea?
That's correct. Just for reference, the town is called Chinhae.
Chinhae, not Chennai. Chinhae, South Korea. Where in South Korea is that?
It's the very southern tip of the peninsula. I'm as far from Seoul and North Korea as possible.
Is it a nice area?
It's very nice. It's very quiet. And when the cherry blossoms come out, the end of March, beginning of April, everyone flies in here.
Yeah.
It's great.
And what is this instrument you have behind you there? Is that a guitar?
This is one of my bass guitars.
You're a bassist.
I wasn't able to bring everything with me. I have a lot of stuff in storage, so that's just one of my instruments.
Kevin, you're going to want to stay tuned because we've got some amazing music coming up in just a little bit. Let me check the clock,
Looking
though.
forward to it, Leo.
We've got 4 minutes till 2015 in Korea. Is it just you? Do you have any of your buddies with you today?
It's just me. Everyone, a lot of people flew home for holiday leave.
For the holidays. You got stuck there, huh?
It was by choice.
Yeah.
I
Are you taking a break, just relaxing a little bit?
Yeah. Actually, I took a nap earlier so I could be up with you all night.
Thanks for staying up all night. That's nice. It's 7 a.m. in Petaluma, but it's midnight in Korea. On Korean, is it Korean Standard Time? Yeah, it is. So you're...
It's standard because they don't observe daylight savings time here. So
hallelujah.
Earth fluctuates. We stay the same.
Randal Schwartz said it best. We were talking about daylight savings time, what a terrible thing it is in the United States, and he said it best when he said, I just want the sun to be overhead at noon every day. That's all I ask. And that would solve it. You don't need daylight savings time. All right, as you can see, I've been arming this bottle of champagne. Think of it as a surface-to-air missile. Targeting, looks like you, Greg. He's hiding under the table. We are 3 minutes away. Will you do it, Counter? What are you, Joe, you're alone. Are you going to celebrate? You going to bang some pots, or you're just going to go to bed right after this, aren't you?
No, I mean, I'll be watching the podcast, but I'll take some breaks. I'll probably play a little bit of music every now and then.
What kind of music do you play?
Heavy metal, mostly.
Awesome. Like Dream Theater heavy metal or like Metallica heavy metal?
That's exactly it. Well, both of those.
Progressive heavy metal.
I've been learning how to play Panic Attack by Dream Theater. It's funny you mention that.
I love Dream Theater.
Me
That's
too.
great.
I got to see them in New Jersey a few years ago. That was like one of the best shows ever.
Fantastic. Well, there you go. Now I know what kind of bassist you are. If you learn to play battery, and I think you could get a job with the Metallica crew.
I can definitely play battery.
That's one of the toughest bass songs ever, isn't it? I think it is. So, Chad Johnson, are you going to be my target today? All right. We're just 2 minutes away from New Year. So here's how we're going to do it. At 10 seconds, there's Chad. 10 seconds to go, I will start the countdown. And if you'll help me out with the countdown, I know it's a little weird, Kevin, with Skype and everything, but if we can manage to synchronize up, we'll do that. Absolutely. The ball will drop. It'll be easy for you to tell because we don't want the only place that you can watch a ball drop to be Times Square. So we have our own ball drop here. We have a balloon drop. The lights will go low. We'll have the fog machine fired up. And then... oh, wait a minute. It's inching out. Oh, my God. It's a premature. Holy cow. Oh, the humanity. Chad, are you okay? Chad? Oh, my God. It looks like it was a bullseye, ladies and gentlemen, a bullseye. I'm sorry, Chad. I should have warned you. Sometimes, as in last hour, it did not go off. And sometimes they go off a little sooner. That's what happens when you buy cheap champagne, ladies and gentlemen. Chad, that one to your left there, that could go off at any second too. So I just would warn you. Kevin, are you ready here? We got about 45 seconds.
I'm ready. Yeah,
what's 2015? What is in your plans for 2015?
A lot of traveling.
You're gonna stay in Korea? You're gonna come home?
Yeah, I'll actually be East Coast in about a few weeks. You can take a cruise to Jamaica.
That sounds great. You got a girl back in New Jersey?
As a matter of fact, I do.
What's her name?
Erica.
Okay, well, you're going to have to imagine kissing Erica at midnight. Just choose the back of your hand, something like that, a pillow. All right, and then we're going to celebrate with a little bit of music that's coming up. All right, here we go. Get ready, everybody. I don't need to pop the cork, but in 10 seconds, we're going to trim the lights. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year, Korea! Woo! And a little Old Lang Syne, the balloon drop. It's gorgeous. Made old acquaintance. And it looks like we hit Mike Elgin with the balloons this time. Just a word of warning, you might not want to stand right there from now on. Happy New Year, Kevin. Thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. What do you do in the Navy in Korea there?
As a acquaintance, as a Coincidence, I'm in IT. I work in IT.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, an IT professional.
That's correct. Cybersecurity, information assurance, fixing stuff.
And you get to work with some pretty cool stuff, I would guess.
Here,
Not
I
so
have a
much.
different sort of job. But last year when I was on my ship, I'll say that, yeah.
Yeah, cool stuff. We won't go any farther than that. Kevin, Happy New Year. Again, thank you for your service. Go play some Dream Theater. Have a great 2015. We're so glad you could join us on our New Year's event.
Thank you.
And thanks to everybody. Yeah, we love doing this. Are you kidding? I love staying up all night and doing this. Let's take a look at
every year event.
Say again?
Do it every year.
Every year, I promise.
Okay.